I'm Tracy Miller, KFI News. Thank you for tuning into KFI AM 640. My name is Tom Leykis. We're here Monday through Friday every afternoon as you head home talking about the issues of 2 until 6. So stay with us. It's going to be a wild show this afternoon. Yes, coming up, we've got all kinds of things happening today, but no particular agenda. I got to tell you that right at the beginning. We have guests who will be coming and going as the day progresses, and I thank you for joining us today here at KFI AM 640. We have got quite a show today. Comedian Sam Kinison is on his way. He's in the car, just like last time Sam was going to come down. He's in the car right now. They just landed. I guess he had some problems in Seattle last night, which made the wire. We were talking about this. Did you hear about this?
No,
Al?
what about it?
Al Goldstein is here, the publisher of Screw Magazine. Says here that his show last night at the Paramount Theater in Seattle drew 3,000 people and 150 protesters.
Ooh.
And apparently some people were arrested in the parking lot of the theater, and it was wild. So, see, what the protesters don't realize, this is what I learned a long time ago about complaint letters and protesters, that you see, when you protest a comedian or a talk show host or a magazine publisher or anybody, all you're doing is helping them sell more of the product. And they don't understand this, and, you know, these Operation Rescue people and these ACT UP people and all these guys, they all go out protesting thinking they're going to ruin the career of the person they're protesting against, and all they're doing is giving them free public relations and turning them into martyrs, and I don't know why they keep doing it.
Because they're stupid.
They are stupid. I mean, if they wanted Sam Kinison to go away, the best thing to do would be for the protesters to go to some other comedian's concert.
Look what the censors did in Cincinnati. They made the Mapplethorpe exhibit the most popular one in the history of that censorship-ridden city.
Did you hear what we did here? You were probably in New York at the time. There's a Mapplethorpe exhibit right now at a gallery in Santa Monica. Not the same one that's in Cincinnati. And I went on the air. I didn't make any promises. I just said, up to 800 listeners can come down to the Richard Green Gallery in Santa Monica. We're going to go see this Robert Mapplethorpe exhibit, and then the next day on the air, we'll talk about the exhibit. Well, people came down, and I guess about 500 or 600 people showed up. It was packed. And the biggest complaint people had, this isn't obscene.
I know.
It's not obscene enough. People thought they were going to come down there and see people disrobing and engaging in gay sex and urine, and they didn't see any of that stuff. And they were all upset. They were saying, this is nothing but flowers and a couple of naked bodies, you know. I mean, Mapplethorpe has become bigger just through all this hype.
Promises, promises, promises. That's what you ever do.
Yeah, I know. How you doing? We haven't seen you in a while.
Great. We were having a conversation before we went on the air because the Gladstone event on Saturday was fantastic. Hundreds and hundreds of people, a lot of good-looking women. And I asked Tom, because he's single now, because who wants to be married to him? I said, Tom, how did you do? Did you pick up any women? He said, yeah, because I'm fascinated how people like Tom Leykis do it. I mean, Sam Kinison's ugly. Tom's ugly.
Oh, yeah.
I did it the only way I knew how. I paid for it. How do you do it, Tom?
I'm on the radio.
So you think it's the power? People are drawn to you because of the magic of your voice?
Yeah. I know a talk show host who I won't name, but he's a talk show host in this business. A guy who said that he was unemployed 2 years ago and couldn't get arrested. And now,
weird sort of way, right? Okay. Yes. And women flock to you. I mean, now my wife, Patty, has been a radio groupie. I'm going to start up with her right now. Why not? It's 11 months of marriage. She was in love with this guy, Alan Combs, for years. She's a radio groupie.
Oh, she's never seen Alan, I take it.
Now, she met him later, but she did see him. But why? Now, I mean, I'd like to find out from her. Why did you pursue Alan Combs for so much time? Can I put it into my...
Yeah, sure. Come on over.
Miss Radio Groupie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because she would have written you a letter.
Oh, I understand. This is Al's wife, Patty. Now, what's the story here?
Well, he had a great voice.
He had a great voice.
So I fell in love with him.
But you never saw him?
I did meet him.
Oh, you did meet him?
And I had listened to him for so many years.
Were you still in love with him after you met him?
I don't think Alan's very attractive.
He's ugly. And when he eats, all the food's on his chin. Patty and I have a theory that people in radio are not housebroken. You people don't know how to eat in public. It's like you should be litter trained. You guys are not.
Do anything in public. We're on the air. It's all imagination.
That's right.
We never have to be seen by anybody. I can go out in public and, I get recognized once or twice, but nothing like being on television. You can pretty much move incognito.
I mean, basically, you're in radio because no one can see you. You're in a dark room, and people just hear your voice. And the women out there are convulsing. They're getting convulsions. They're excited. excited. They're hot for you. Did you like the movie Talk Radio? Did you think it was true and authentic?
Technically, it was authentic, except for the fact that they shot that guy, the talk show host. We talked about this a lot on the air. I bashed the hell out of Oliver Stone. See, the thing is, nobody would shoot that guy because he wasn't really controversial. He didn't stand for anything. He didn't have an agenda. The only people in this country who get shot are people whose free speech is making some kind of a difference, you know. John F. Kennedy gets shot. Martin Luther King gets shot. Anybody who has a chance to make a change, they're the people who get shot. Nobody shoots a damn talk show host who it doesn't seem to be that dedicated. I mean, Alan Berg, when they shot him in Denver, they shot him because this guy had these Klansmen on the show, and they'd be saying, yeah, you little Jew, you little twerp, and he'd be going, yeah, you wouldn't dare say that to me outside in the parking lot, come get me. And you could tell why this guy was going to get nailed. You could tell that somebody would have it in for him. But why would anybody have it in for this jerk in the movie who didn't seem to stand for anything except being like a small-time Don Rickles? That's all he was. That part wasn't believable. The technical end of it, and a lot of the interrelationships, the fact that the talk show host lived with his producer and his ex-wife used to be his producer, and that's very believable. That's real. And part of the reason that's real is because they hired as the technical consultant on the movie a woman named Annette White, who has produced my show on occasion, who used to produce Alan Berg. And so she knew about, like, all the hierarchy of the radio station. She helped them get the technical stuff right, and she did a great job, and the movie reflected all that. But the guy getting shot wasn't believable.
Why does everyone in radio hate everyone else? Steve Kane hates Alex Bennett. Everyone hates Tom Leykis. Is it that if the more successful you are, the more hated you are?
I don't know. I do notice that. Like, you ask any talk show host who the best talk show host is, and he generally says, well, after me, I can't think of anybody else who's any good. It's just me. And I don't get that, because, there are talk show hosts who I think are much better than I am and who I admire immensely. Jerry Williams in Boston, I think, is a spectacular host. I'll have him on the show next month when we go to Orlando and do our show from the Talk Radio Conference. There's another fellow named Gene Burns, who's also on in Boston, who I had on last year. He's the most articulate man I've ever heard speak. So there are people I admire, but the average guy in this business, you talk to him and he thinks he's the best and everybody else is a jerk. And it's reflected on the air. We all go on the air and we all take shots at each other. Even if we work at the same station, we take shots at each other. It doesn't matter.
Well, in fact, the harshest radio I've ever seen is in Florida, WIOD. Neil Rogers has wiped out more people on that station. Now, I like Neil Rogers. I think he's good. How do you evaluate him?
Neil is good. He's not as good as he used to be. Neil has kind of coasted for years on what he did years ago. Neil can go on any radio station and do well. But his show has kind of turned into let's talk about myself for 4 hours and I'll eat lunch here on the air. And it's years ago he was spectacular. He was really great. And in talk radio it's really funny. See, it's the exact opposite of music radio. In music radio they put on a new station, like there's a station in Tampa called the Power Pig. They have this rebellious attitude on the air. So all the kids immediately abandon the station they've been listening to and they tune into this new station. They'll listen to it until they get bored with it, and they'll tune into the next station that calls itself the all new hot rock and flamethrower and whatever. In talk radio, when you're new, nobody listens.
Right.
And the longer you're on, it doesn't even matter if you're good anymore. The longer you're on the air, the more listeners you get. Which is why our competition has all these listeners, because God knows they haven't done anything new in 25 years, but they've been on a long time, and that's what's happened with this guy in Miami, Neil Rogers.
Well, no, but Neil is one of the few people in radio who came out and admitted he was gay. Do you think that helped him or hurt him?
Oh, I don't think it hurts to. People expect a talk show, especially in Miami, to be outrageous. To be personally outrageous. One of the great things about my job is I can be anything. And people can see me in a dive bar, okay? I'll give you an example. I hang out at Barney's Beanery over on Santa Monica Boulevard. You know the place, right? They used to, years ago, they had these signs about blacks and gays, and they were a very controversial place. Nowadays, it's probably new owners. They just kind of play on the heritage of the place and what have you. But it's a dive, okay? It's where all the guys in leather jackets go to play pool at 1 o'clock in the morning. I can be in there. Nobody's surprised. Now, if you saw Warren Beatty in there, you saw, like, some big-time celebrity, you go, oh, God, what's he doing slumming in there? He should be at the Columbia Bar and Grill. He should be at Spago. He should be somewhere else. But no, I can go anywhere. I can be at the Columbia Bar and Grill, or I can be at Barney's, and you can be a chameleon, and people expect you to be outrageous. They don't care,
Well, I think it's also because people have no expectations about you, Tom.
Well, that's true.
Okay, so what's the best pickup line a girl has used to scoop you into the bed? Because I've heard all about the rubbers you leave near your bed. You've told us I'm bored with it. Okay, so we know you're a safe lover. Okay, what's the best pickup move made by a woman?
By a woman?
Yeah.
The best pickup line made by a woman is when she starts, because it's usually somebody who's heard the show, okay? The ones who come to pick me up. And generally they'll say something like, I'm pro-choice, and I was at a pro-choice rally recently, and that's like kind of the subtle way of saying that they're not looking to have kids, and they'd be willing to have an abortion if they had an accident happen, see? So that's the pickup line that I hear most often.
Do you ever have a line such as, I think you're great, I want you to take me to bed, and I'll pay for everything? Does that work? I mean, do women throw you money for sex?
Oh, no, they don't throw me money, but I will tell you this. One woman in the not-too-distant past took me out in a brand-new limousine, picked me up at my home, and, this was the top of the line. I mean, wet bar and videotapes and everything but a jacuzzi. It was all in there, and she came pick me up, and we were out for 6 hours in the limo. Never went home, okay? We just stayed out in the limo all night long. That was it. It was wonderful.
I want to know if you put out the first night, or did you wait for a second date?
In this case, I put out on the first date.
You cheap slut.
I did. Hey, this was not cheap, okay? She paid her way. Now, if she took me to Wendy's at the drive-thru, I might have waited another day or two, but no, she took good care of me. We'll take a break here. We'll come back with Al Goldstein, the publisher of Screw Magazine. Ron Jeremy is supposed to join. Where's Ron today?
He's eating at Burger King.
Okay, he's eating at
Fatter
Burger
than
King.
me.
All right, Ron will be here in a while. Sam Kinison will be here in a while. And again, we have no particular agenda. You'll have a chance to join this conversation at 5201 KFI in L.A. and the Valley, so toll free at 1-800-553-4640. 219 Tom Leykis, Monday afternoon live over KFI AM 640. 222 Tom Leykis, Monday afternoon live over KFI AM 640. We are here with Al Goldstein, the publisher of Screw Magazine. Sam Kinison is on the way right now. Ron Jeremy is out there somewhere. Al says he's having lunch. I don't know. There was a piece that appeared that was faxed to me, and several people brought it to my attention. It was seen, I guess, in the Torrance Daily Breeze and in the Santa Monica Outlook. Now, I'm going to read this. I should point out that the guy who wrote it is a freelance writer from San Pedro, who, it says here, specializes in radio. Now, the guy's a freelance writer, and who does he write for? The Santa Monica Outlook and the Torrance Daily Breeze, all right? So he's a freelancer who can't even get a permanent job with the Torrance Daily Breeze. Let me just say that as the prelude to this. Here we go. It says here, now get this, if you heard the show, we were talking about Andrew Dice Clay last week, and it says here, since arriving in Los Angeles more than 2 years ago, KFI's afternoon host Tom Leykis has been involved in the fight for freedom of expression. In fact, Leykis has dedicated a substantial number of his shows to First Amendment issues, from FCC censorship attempts to government subsidies of controversial artists. Censorship of any kind is wrong, Leykis says. So why all the fuss about comedian Andrew Dice Clay being host of last week's Saturday Night Live on NBC, and Leykis' support of SNL cast member Nora Dunn's decision to boycott the show? Leykis spent a good portion of last week talking about it, stating that Clay is offensive. Now get this, here's what the guy says. He's trying to be cute here. He says, let's see, censorship is wrong unless Leykis doesn't like something. Can you say hypocrite and loss of credibility? I thought you could. Now, let me just read the facts from the guy who sent this article along. He says, Dear Tom Leykis, apparently there still exist people who do not know the basic difference in trying to criticize someone and trying to censor someone. Never once did I hear you advocate that Andrew Dice Clay should be banned from appearing on Saturday Night Live, but I guess some people never understand. And it's true. I never said on this program that Andrew Dice Clay should be censored on Saturday Night Live or that he shouldn't appear. I said that I find his humor offensive because, number one, it's not funny, and number two, because the guy is demeaning and degrading to women, and it's not even funny. I mean, some people are degrading to women. Eddie Murphy's degrading to women, but he's funny. Sam Kinison can be degrading to women, but he's funny. Andrew Dice Clay is not funny, and I respect Nora Dunn for taking the week off. Did that mean that I thought that Andrew Dice Clay should be censored, that he shouldn't sell albums, that he shouldn't have HBO specials, that he shouldn't be on Saturday Night Live? Who is this idiot who writes for these newspapers? I don't get it. Do you understand? Do you understand
this? Because I agree with you. See, because I think Dice Clay is a one-theme actor. I think the real slut in this whole area was NBC who hires him. Then, of course, they bleep him out 5 times. They knew what they were getting. If you book Hitler, you're going to see a swastika. I mean, that's just the name of the game. I mean, Andrew Dice Clay is not funny to me, but I agree with you totally. He's allowed on all the media that anyone else is. And I think he doesn't have a point of view. When Andrew makes himself sound like Lenny Bruce, Lenny Bruce had a political point of view, as does in many cases, I think, Sam Kinison. But I think that a lot of people just are against anyone with a point of view. They have to relegate that and equalize that with censorship, Tom.
Yeah, well, I did the Cat Stevens thing. We crushed the Cat Stevens records. All these people saying, well, you're engaging in censorship. I never took a record out of a record store or out of a library. I never took a master tape and burned it. I said to people, now that Cat Stevens endorses the death of Salman Rushdie, why don't people say, hey, these records are, it's a fraud, songs like Peace Train, it's all bogus now, it doesn't mean anything, and bring them down here, because my Cat Stevens records are of no value anymore. Bring them down, we'll crush the records you voluntarily donate. We didn't go out there and say, okay, now let's take all the records out of the record stores and pick it in front of record stores saying his record shouldn't be sold or people shouldn't be able to buy the fact. We were playing Cat Stevens records on the air at the time and running sound effects through them, whereas some other stations actually did censor him and wouldn't play his records. So I really get angry about this stuff, just getting sick and tired of this, all this arguing about censorship and stuff. It's just
well, we all know censorship stinks, and it's obvious. And this nitwit who wrote the piece, as you said, does not have a full-time job.
Yeah, that's true. What about you? Are people still trying to censor you, or are you finally becoming part of the mainstream?
All the time. I mean, all the time. I remember for me, one of the moments of truth was when the film Lenny opened, I was banned from the screening. I figured, imagine that. If Lenny Bruce came back from the dead, he would be banned from his own screening. If they did a movie called The Al Goldstein Story, probably Screw Magazine would be banned. It's the hypocrisy of these people I find detestable. I've had a case in New York for 12 years where I'm trying to get a carry gun permit. I'm going to win ultimately, but it's endless. The Salzburg at the Times has one. Bill Cosby has a gun permit. I am one of the most hated people in the United States. I should have a gun permit, but the Irish cops in New York don't like me, and they make an issue out of it. And we spend tons of money on litigation.
Who's out to get you? I've been reading stories and press clippings about you that say there's all these people out to get you.
Well, we did a piece a year and a half ago on Khomeini where we offered $1 million. Me and a very fat publisher named Lyle Stewart offered $1 million for anyone who shot Khomeini. And this is while he's alive. And so we had death squads threaten to fine us. I was under FBI protection for 5 weeks. The FBI admitted it was a valid death threat. And the New York Police Department was rooting for the death squads. That was the bad part.
The police department?
Yeah, they were rooting for him. You see, now a guy like Ron Jeremy, you want a death squad because it's bad acting. So look at that nude body. I mean, Ron Jeremy only has sex because people pay. People pay women to go to bed with him.
Now, didn't Ron once do a radio show at one time? Somebody told me he was on the radio one time.
Well, he's on all the time, but you know that he's the only guy who can perform oral copulation on himself because, again, no one else will do it. And he says it's not gay because he stops before ejaculation. Now, that's one of those points I think your fans should phone in. Is he homosexual if he's had that kind of contact with his own body?
You'll have to wonder. We're going to take a break here. We'll come back with Al Goldstein. Sam Kinison, we understand, is in the car on the way from the airport. We'll find out if he's... if they didn't stop off for lunch, I'm going to be very surprised this afternoon. But we'll take some of your calls coming up. And I'm looking at the screen here, and all these people, they all want to talk about my appearance on 2020 Friday night. Well, we'll talk about that, too. That's fine. 2020 did this piece about telemarketing the other day, and, well, I'm sure there are some people at least one particular theater in town not too happy about me today. 5201-KFI is the number at LA in the Valley. The toll-free 1-800-553-4640. My name is Tom Leykis. It's 2:29, Monday afternoon live. This is KFI. LA Orange County weather from KFI. Variable high cloudiness tonight. A little warmer. Highs in the mid-70s. Tonight, variable high cloudiness. Low clouds by midnight. Light winds. Lows in the mid to upper 50s. Tomorrow morning, low clouds. Otherwise, variable high cloudiness. A little cooler. Highs in the 70s. Right now, LAX reporting cloudy skies, 63 degrees. Santa Monica cloudy at 65. Long Beach mostly cloudy at 73. And Riverside cloudy, 78 degrees here at KFI AM 640. We're here with Al Goldstein and Sam Kinison and Ron Jeremy and a cast of thousands here in the studio today. It's incredible. And we're going to take some telephone calls. We were talking about Andrew Dice Clay before the break, and yeah, that story came out, and the show was not the highest rated show of the season.
No, I know. It was all blow. It was all BS. It was the fourth highest rated show of this year.
Behind Fred
And nobody's
Savage
been watching it this year anyway. The show's dead. The show is basically dead, I think,
Sam, what's the new thing on gerbils? Can you tell me? Give me in the gerbil update.
Well, we got to be careful about gerbils because we could get
my license.
We could get sued if we say who had the gerbil problem.
Paper.
Well, I know it's in your paper.
And it's in the Star.
Can we quote your paper?
I know that there's a segment in our society that is using rodents, such as hamsters and gerbils, for various devious sexual experiments.
Yes.
And nobody's doing anything about it. You know why?
Right.
Because they're from the rodent family. Nobody cares about rodents. Now, if there were dolphins, being used in sexual experiments, would every group be upset?
Gerbil liberation. It's an issue. I'm telling you, it's more important than cigarettes in New York City. The new issue of Screw. Now let me take this on. 1,108 Screw. Now wait, this is a newspaper, May 28th. I'm checking my sources.
Quoting a newspaper here
now,
that said
page
this.
8 has an ad for a film called Pretty Gerbil, starring Betty Gerbil and Clark Gerbil and some actor who was in a film called Pretty Woman. But I mean, this is just a joke. It's a satire.
That was an officer and a gerbleman. You forgot. It was the other movie.
But you're right.
But we're not going to say who it was.
Sam's right. If a gerbil was fur-bearing that you could make coats out of,
yes,
you would have these women in the streets spray painting gerbils.
That's right.
Isn't that true?
That's right. If they were amphibian, if they were amphibian at all, if they were like the dolphin or the seal, as Ron mentioned,
For the whale.
if dolphins were being put in the places that gerbils were,
My question is, where do you get trail mix suppositories? That's what I want to know. I'm serious. Where do you get them?
You know, and there are other issues. I know that this big fat guy here, Ron Jeremy, cares about it. I mean, do gerbils have a soul, a religion, a belief system?
I stay awake at night thinking about these things. I mean, when I heard him talk, when I was on the highway, hearing him talking about this autofellatio thing, I thought the conversation had digressed. Now I'm hearing this conversation about gerbils.
A gerbil.
why you can't understand what the thrill would be about putting an animal inside your own body?
What do you mean the conversation has digressed? What's
man.
the topic today, Ron?
Good point.
It's got to be
Digress
scary.
from what?
Well,
Inside
is
your
it head
intestinal
first or
tract.
Is it head first or tail first? I mean,
And
do you pull it out with a tail?
Exactly.
Or
And is it the gerbil's fault?
is it like a breech birth if you have the head?
When the gerbil's pulled out, he's got to have this look on his face like, don't look at me! Yeah, no, it was my idea! Yeah, blame me! I'm the reason it went wrong!
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the mechanics of it. What are you saying in defense? So I sat down in the chair and there it was? What's your defense, you know?
Let's take some calls here. We got a lot of people on the phone.
Oh, I bet.
Who've been holding for a long time. Here's Patty in Brea on KFI. Hello.
Hello, how
Patty.
you doing?
Okay.
Hi, Patty.
Hey, Sam.
How you doing, darling?
Oh, I'm doing great. I saw you in Vegas before Christmas.
Oh, you did?
I saw
Great.
you and the Outlaws.
Oh, they're my buddies. They're here in the studio with me. They're all passed out on the floor, but they're here.
But listen, you guys are great.
Well, thank you.
Anybody who thinks that your comedy promotes rape or violence is an idiot.
Yeah, they've got me confused with Andrew Dice Clay. My comedy endorses sensitivity, love.
You're a sensitive guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but listen.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of fun, you know. I mean, it's a fun show. It's not. I'm not a gay basher. I don't encourage violence against gays. At the same time, I don't write my material to appease gay audiences. And I'm not going to buckle under that kind of pressure to write jokes that gay people will like. I could care less what gay people like. I do my show. My show's what it is.
Right. Well, just a note. I'm going to ask you a quick question, but
Go ahead.
I worked on a film recently that is coming out, a Dice film. It's coming out soon.
Yeah.
And I had to sit and watch this thing over and over again, and it was disgusting.
Is this Fort Fairlane?
Well,
Can you mention the title?
you're very, very warm.
Oh, he always did. What's the name of the movie?
She doesn't want to say. I think she
Doesn't wanna
already
say, but what
she
you're
told us,
saying
but
is,
she didn't tell us.
Without telling us.
As it is, so I don't want to ruin it.
Okay,
to be
but the
happening.
film that you saw, you were not impressed with.
It's not funny. It's insulting and degrading. It's a piece of crap.
Well, great. Then it will be upheld by the critics as such, I'm sure.
Yeah, but listen, what was the deal with that car, that black car that went off the road?
Oh, the Corvette.
Yeah, like it was registered under some girl's name. I didn't. What's the deal?
No, it was. Well, the press got it all messed up. First of all, the car was not leased. I own the car. It was abandoned for a short time because it was very close to my house. All these guys are laughing here. It's the truth.
I buy it.
I was in the passenger side. Ronnie was driving.
Oh, God.
I was in the passenger side. And we hydroplaned around a corner. It got caught between a mountain and a telephone pole. And fortunately, especially the insurance companies listening, fortunately, our seatbelts were fastened. And nobody was hurt. And they said that the police weren't called. The police were called. And so was AAA, and the police beat AAA, and they impounded the car. But anyway, the Corvette has been restored. It's better than it was before. It's a bionic vet now. It's like the
fine.
Steve Austin vet.
Great.
And I'm fine.
And Ronnie's fine.
Well, it's good talking to you.
Well, you too. Take care of yourself.
You too.
Thank you, Patty.
Bye-bye, Tom.
Bye-bye now. Here comes Jeff in Westchester on KFI. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Tom.
What's going on?
Oh, I'm just trying to keep it together. What I have is pretty low-key compared to the way y'all have been carrying on.
What's going on, Jeff?
Here's the deal, Al.
Yes.
Last time I think you were on Tom's show, you mentioned that you dated at one time the epitome of feminine virtue, Dr. Tony Grant.
Well, I did live with her for 6 months.
Every time Al comes on the show, it doesn't take an hour before somebody's on the phone and wants to know about Dr. Tony Grant.
I remember when Tony Grant came to the comedy store.
That's right.
I took her to see the show.
She was the first person to plug you, and this is what I hate about Tony. I'm living with her. I'm stooping her. We're having a great time.
I didn't bring this up.
No, I mean, I love
I want
Tony.
people to know I didn't.
Tony
People
and
think I
talking
fixed
about
it.
marriage. We brought Tony to see you
took you
when you
right.
and
Yes,
Robin
I
were working.
remember.
And then Tony said she met me once, only once, and that was professionally. I was her patient. I got crazy.
Oh, that's
Isn't that terrible?
rude.
I hung her upside down in S&M clubs, and she loved
She
it.
mentioned me and Sam over the radio, in fact, the next day, wasn't
Yes.
it? She mentioned both of us on the air.
You said we were good influences on people, that we liberated them. Something like that.
Well, Tony, this town isn't big enough for Tony Grant and Al Goldstein. Tony left.
I remember you guys were a hot item. She said you were her patient?
Yeah,
That is so rude.
Years later.
She
That's
did research
terrible.
at the comedy
So
store.
rude.
I think.
It was terrible.
I was there, Tom. I saw it. There was a romance going
It was
on.
love.
Was there really?
It was love.
It was hot.
It was hot.
Hey, Jeff, well, did you ask your question yet? He only mentioned her name. He hasn't even said what he wanted to know yet.
No, I haven't answered. I haven't asked my question yet.
What's the question?
Now,
What's the question?
okay, Al, you mentioned at Tom's show at the Wiltern, which I attended, he mentioned a couple of the places where you took her, including someone's rec room where you didn't exactly play pool on the pool table.
Well, it was one in the side pocket for her. I did Tony. You see, now Sam did Jessica Hahn. I never got to Jessica, but I did Tony Grant on the pool table at the Hefner's playroom.
So that's what I understand. But here's
It was
the question.
great.
Here's
In fact, there were still stains there.
They don't use chalk anymore.
I'm getting a little more than I asked
Hefner
for,
needs to get a new staff. You know, they make Scotch Guard, you know.
They don't use chalk on the pool tips anymore.
Listen, I got...
Jeff didn't believe me at the Wiltern Theater.
I never got Jessica at the Playboy
You
Mansion.
didn't do it
At
on
the
the pool
Playboy
table?
Mansion. No, it was at the Sunset Marquee.
Oh, yeah, but everyone had it there.
Oh.
Now, Jeff, I could tell you didn't believe me when I did the show at the Wiltern that time. I could tell you didn't. I told that story about Alan. You didn't believe it. You had to call up a check.
No. You still haven't answered my question.
What's the question?
Who won the game?
Was she any damn good?
Great. She was great. We played Chicago and Razzle Dazzle. It was great. She is a great-looking, hot lady. And I tell you something, I'd buy any of her books.
Wow.
And in fact, that the woman who actually co-wrote the book with her, Susan Block, is here. And I met Tony. Now, here's what's interesting. I met Tony Grant. This shows you why she's a liar and not on the air. I met Tony Grant through Lynn Redgrave, whose husband is here. John Clark is here. So if Tom wants to verify it, let's put the lie to Dr. Tony Grant right now. Lynn Redgrave introduced Al Goldstein, Mr. Ron Jeremy, but of course I shave and wash. Okay, Mr. Al low blow. Okay, Tony Grant wanted somebody who could read, and then Ronnie was out. So anyway, Lynn Redgrave introduced Al Goldstein to Tony Grant, and the rest is history.
Hysterectomy.
Jeff, did that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call.
Okay.
Bye-bye now. We'll continue. 3:32, 28 minutes before 4 o'clock. Tom Leykis here on KFI AM 640.
Oh, God.
Time now to go to the KFI.
Crazy.
No, Tom does this to me every time. He
You're
gets
not
the
going to refuse to
wildest
tell the
calls
news
right
until we
before
leave
he
the
comes
studio,
on.
are you?
Hey, you know something? I'm getting deja vu from this whole conversation.
It's true, Lynn Redgrave.
Oh, that's because every time Al comes on, it doesn't take an hour, and somebody calls in and wants to
right.
know about Dr. Tony Grant. Now,
I think they were one of Hollywood's hottest couples. I remember when this thing was a big deal.
Somebody accused me recently, they met me at a restaurant, and they accused me of setting these calls up. Now, how could I set these up?
No.
I think
Not
Tony's
a setup,
proud of the
folks.
relationship.
It's just dumb luck is what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Tracy, what's happening today?
Okay, well, President Bush is...
Three 39, 21 before 4 o'clock. Tom Leykis over KFI AM 640. We're not going to talk about what we were just talking about off the
not
air.
at all.
No.
We're not even going to hint to it.
Oh, man. We should sell it, though, on tape. You're good at that, Al. You're good at marketing this stuff.
We got it.
Patty's shooting it.
Midnight Blue, you'll see.
$29.95. You can piggyback it. You
Hi, Midnight Blue. Hello.
You can piggyback this with the Rob Lowe tape. You get yourself for $39.95.
Right.
This could be very exciting.
And the Go-Go's.
The Go-Go's. And Bud Dwyer blowing his brains out, the former treasurer of Pennsylvania.
Hits of the century.
Boy, I'll tell you, have you talked to K-Tel about this? You can put them back in business with this tape. You're not kidding. Anyway, Al Goldstein, the publisher of Screw Magazine.
I have one of me and my ex-wife I should talk to you about.
Let me hear that. Really, I'm interested. You get royalties.
That would be a hot one. It's about 10 years old.
Is this beta or VHS?
No, it's VHS.
It's VHS.
Very bad lighting, though. It looks like we're making love at a 7-Eleven counter or something. You know, look like a security camera, you know, in one of these hallways of an apartment building.
It's like one of Ronnie's
no
movies.
Quality. You know, it was like they first came out, and we were like, oh, this will be fun. Oh. That's where I came up with the bit, never videotape yourself having sex, because, you know, you don't look like you think you would look. That's the bottom line. But Sam, you feel great. It's not like Ronnie, where there's like 7 cameras, a director, there's lighting,
editing.
You know, when you do it at home by yourself, it's one angle, bad lighting, and you look like a polar bear with a cold. Like, you know, you're wheezing. It seems like every part of your body is out of shape. It's not a pretty sight.
It does sound like a Ron Jeremy movie, though. It really does.
Do I got to shave any cream into this haircut I'm getting?
Robin in Los Angeles, you're on KFI. Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, Sam. I wanted to ask you a question about Howard Stern. I haven't been in New York in a while, and I wanted to know about him. Are you still on his show?
Yeah, when I'm in New York.
Yes, because the last time I was there, you were barred.
I was barred?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that must have been for that Bon Jovi prank.
Right.
I thought it was very funny.
I did too, but he didn't take it too much in stride.
Yeah, Howard didn't have much of a sense of humor about that.
Well, Howard usually has a sense of humor about his jokes, but not when someone.
Yeah, well, he didn't like that I got him.
We got to tell everybody what this prank was, because nobody here heard it.
Oh, it was very funny.
I was in New York. I heard it.
Yeah, it was very funny. Well, it depends on whose side you're on, but
yes,
they have a giant war. Howard Stern is like a Tom Leykis character in New York, except he's not Tom. There's only one Tom Leykis. But if Tom Leykis was in New York, it'd be like that. You know, he's that kind of he's that kind of a DJ.
Right.
All right. So what happened was, and this is going to be on Midnight Blues. I got to say this exactly right, man.
You called me on the phone about that.
What happened was that there's a giant war between Howard Stern and Bon Jovi. I got caught in the middle of it, and I just did Giant Stadium with him the day before. I'd opened up for him, and there's 72,000 people. And it was the biggest gig I've ever done in my life, and I was very grateful to these guys. They did my video for free and all this kind of stuff. And I was on Howard's show, and Howard has a big war with him, you know, because they don't do his station. Because the station he's on just plays classic rock and roll. They don't play anything new. So the guys and I got together and decided as a prank that I would go in and tell Howard that Bon Jovi and the entire band wanted to come in, and they wanted to have it out with him live on the air. And, of course, Howard went for it, and I didn't know he was going to buy 25 news services down. Every news service in New York was down there. Rolling Stone, High Times.
You were going to have a dance.
The New York Post, everybody, yeah. And so what I originally was going to do is I called up Ron. I said, Ron,
in Los Angeles,
get me a male dancer that'll come in and take off all of his clothes
and stick it in his face.
And yes, well, we can't exactly say everything we were going to do on the air, but it would have been very funny.
I got you a dancer.
So basically, what happened was that he announced all this, and I didn't show, and Bon Jovi didn't show. And then, of course, for the next 3 months, I was the most hated man on radio in New York.
If people heard the show, Robin, did you hear the show? I mean, I was in New York. Okay, I heard the show, see, and Howard was on the air with all these press people waiting for you to arrive for like 3 hours. He was just tap dancing for 3 solid hours on the air.
It was a dirty trick.
I thought it was great.
But we since made up, so everything's okay.
Well, that's good. And keep up the good work. You too, Tom.
Thank you, Robin.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Here's Jeff in Los Angeles on KFI. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, I have a question for Sam.
Hey, Jeff, what's going on?
Sam, I saw you about 6 years ago up in Hollywood.
Yeah.
In your act. You made a comment about a couple years ago that Bobcat Goldthwait basically stole your entire act. And I also saw him about the same time, and you basically have 2 different types of acts. Why do you think that he stole your act, and what do you think about him right now?
What I think about him right now is that he's where he should be in show business, which is the Where Is He Now file. And he actually is the one that started mouthing off first, so I just started mouthing back.
Okay, so you really don't think...
But Ron knows my act. Ron Jeremy's here. Ron has seen me all the way back to 1981.
8 years ago.
Yes,
Well,
and Ron knows who did what first. I was the first guy to do what I do, but unfortunately I was on at 2 o'clock, and it gave other people a chance to come in and see me, like Bob Goldthwait, and he didn't have the screaming. He came in with that. He did that, and then all of a sudden, the more he watched me, all of a sudden now he had to make these social comments that still don't fit in his act. And then all of a sudden, everything had to be with volume.
Or they would change the words and keep the main theme.
Yeah, and this guy had the shot at the Letterman show. He had the shot at the police academies, and I was still on the bench. And it was very frustrating to see that he's like, ever since he made that movie with the horse, Hot to Trot, a movie so bad John Candy did his part over the phone. I felt sorry for him, and I don't feel like I don't feel the same hostility towards Bob as I do.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll continue. 3:45. It's 3:45. Tom Leykis, KFI AM 640. Time to go to the KFI Traffic Center. Here's Mark Dennis.